to be totally honest, it changed my life. Literally, it really did. I get really emotional, just like, because I'm so grateful, really. Oh my gosh, like, how cool would it be to become a coach? If you're not fueling your body, if you're not thinking correctly, you have to be that person in order to help other people, right? So if I'm not sharp and I'm not feeling my best, how am I going to help my clients, right? And I believe that in order to help other people, you have to be living it yourself, right? You have to be that person, right? And it just so happens that I love this. Like, this is just my favorite thing ever. I love eating healthy. I love educating people about it.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou, and boy, do we have an exciting guest lined up for you today. Today's guest works with my GOAT mentor, the one and only Amer, the Amer Kamra. She is a true legend in the body transformation space. She is full of energy and full of incredible information that she delivers in a concise, powerful, and engaging way. I am speaking, of course, of none other than the one, the only, the legendary Magda Bañas. Welcome to the show, Magda.
Well, thank you so much for having me. What a warm welcome. Seriously, this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me on your amazing podcast, really. I've heard lots and lots of my colleagues, my friends be interviewed by you, and I'm just so honored, really. So thank you.
My pleasure. It's an honor to have you here. So Magda, the people that listen to the show are seekers. They want to grow, to win, and they listen to the show not because of me. I'm here every week. They listen to the show because of you. They want to learn from you. But before they can open their hearts to you, they got to get to know you. So tell us your backstory. How'd you get to be the great Magda Bañas?
So I've always been active my entire life. Ever since I was 4 years old, I've been in competitive dance. I've done gymnastics. I stopped doing dance and gymnastics when I was in high school. As soon as I entered university, I was doing Taekwondo. That was my physical activity of choice. I then finished Taekwondo because I had earned my black belt and I was going to university. And so my crazy schedule at university took its toll, just to say the least, because then it was actually my rock bottom, really. I was really depressed. I was not happy. And part of that reason was because I was isolating myself and I wasn't doing anything that brought me true joy, which is just moving my body, really, and educating others on doing so themselves. So in university, I picked up just going to the gym randomly. I was doing random exercises. I was doing random classes. I was doing random things that I was doing in gymnastics, because that's the only thing I knew. I was following other people's workouts. And it got me like some results. I was always just always following everybody, right? Just wanted to attain a better physique. I was definitely not genetically blessed with a toned body. I definitely had to work for that. And I was training. I went into my first bodybuilding competitions, bikini competitions, not with our coach Amer, but I did meet him at one of my very first shows. And to be totally honest, it changed my life. Literally, it really did. I get really emotional, just like, because I'm so grateful, really. And yeah, that's when I met Amer and he started coaching me for a few shows. And yeah, really. And he asked me to potentially coach. I got on a call with Rima and we made it happen for me. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So, I've interviewed Rima. I've met Rima, lovely lady. What made you decide to do this as a profession, as a full-time living?
Right.
And not just something that was fun and cool, like a hobby?
Right. So in university, I actually did my undergraduate degree in kinesiology. Oh. And so I was going to be a physiotherapist or potentially a chiropractor, because that's what my parents wanted me to do. That's what sort of everybody does in kinesiology, right? And if you are not doing that, you're probably going to be a PT trainer at the gym floor, right? So I was like, okay, I might as well just do this because I'm okay at school. I'm pretty good at school. Like I was getting very good grades. And so, that's just sort of what I wanted to do. However, it's not like what I really, really wanted to do. I was just doing it because my parents said, it's a good job. You can make a lot of money from it. But my heart wasn't in it. I volunteered in multiple physiotherapist clinics. I've helped people like slowly rehab from strokes, regaining, their life back, just rehabbing people from minor injuries. And so like, it wasn't making me happy. It wasn't really fulfilling me at all. Right. And as I started going to the gym and working with Amer, I was like, oh my gosh, like how cool would it be to become a coach, right? And me and him were training one day and I don't know, we got on the topic of like what I wanted to do. And I was telling him my story, but I didn't really want to do physiotherapy. And he brought up coaching and, I was like, wow, like, yeah, I would love to potentially become a coach, right? So I guess that's how it came about, really.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So, Magda, you have been doing this as a coach for how long now?
Started in 2020, actually. September.
Okay, so 4 years.
Yeah.
That's good. Fantastic. And one of the things that you're really known for, branding-wise, right, is you put out a lot of information for people around eating choices, around how to properly select food, because most people, myself included, for the longest time, don't know what the hell they're doing. So why don't we dig into that? First of all, foundationally, why is that interesting to you? Why have you gravitated toward that and sharing that kind of knowledge? And secondly, why is it important for people to pay attention to this?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I always had a kind of like a passion for nutrition. I think it was always so cool that, you can eat something and sure, it can be healthy, but it can still have a negative effect on your body composition if you're eating too much of the healthy foods. And I kind of dabbled into this in university, right? Taking nutrition courses. Just in general, I was never I was never slim or anything like that. And I discovered that, me being overweight in my past was led to like decisions and choices that I made, right? Of course, that's how it always is. And so I always used to eat like what my mom has made. But as I started becoming more aware and started, learning a little bit more about what carbs, fats, protein do for our body, I started to open my eyes like, oh my gosh, like my mom's making like potatoes and gravy and, the protein's there, but it's covered in butter. And like, that's exactly why I was in the position that I was, right? So as I started to gain more insight, I started researching more, and I just found it so interesting that as I was also working out in the gym, I wasn't also feeling my best because I wasn't prioritizing my nutrition. So when I completely just not stopped eating what my mom made, but took control of my own nutrition and what I was putting in my body, my progress skyrocketed. It really did. And that's how that philosophy, fueling your body, really came about for me, right? Because you really do have to fuel your body for the gym, for your grueling resistance training workouts, for your cardio, or else you're not going to perform. right? And you're not going to gain the muscle mass that you need in order to increase your metabolism, increase the amount of muscle you have on your body, and thereby lose fat, right? So I believe it's so foundational, so important for everybody to get a good grasp of what carbs are, what proteins are, what macronutrients are in general, right? For you to be able to see the body composition results that you want to see in your body.
Okay, let's dig into that. So first of all, for a layperson, right? Somebody who's not in the business of health, fitness, well-being, but who is interested in having a good, healthy, fit body, why do they need to care about macronutrients, carbs, proteins, what to eat, when to eat, how to eat? Let's get into that.
Right. So for somebody that doesn't know anything about macros, right, they're just, going about their day mindlessly, grabbing bagels from Tim Hortons, grabbing random like lunches and paninis, whatever. They're probably overeating carbs and fat and undereating protein and fiber. And protein and fiber are key if you want to have good blood sugar levels, you want to keep your, hunger levels at bay, you want to feel full, you want to feel satiated, you want a lot of energy as well. Right. So I believe that it's very important for everybody to just become more aware of what you are eating. And not saying like you have to go into MyFitnessPal and track everything, but maybe just write everything down. Take notice of it, right? Because you'll see patterns, right? Like if you only have coffee for breakfast because you're super busy and you have 2 kids that need your attention and you don't have time for yourself, and you skip that meal, you're going to pay for it at lunch and especially at dinner time when you eat your dinner, but you're ravenously hungry, 30 minutes later, because you didn't fuel your body right from the beginning of the day. And now you're paying for it and you're going to see yourself just spiraling that way. So does that help?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people these days that are into all this, what do you call it? Eating in certain windows, right? I forget the term that they do. Like they won't eat until like dinner time only. What do they call it?
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting. That's it. That's the term. So is that a smart idea? Is that not a smart idea? Why? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, intermittent fasting isn't actually a diet. It's just a style of eating, right? So I actually do recommend it for people who are night shift workers or just shift workers in general, and they have like a really busy schedule. And what works for one person is not going to work for the other, right? So especially if you yourself are preparing for a bodybuilding competition, you know that you need protein at certain points in the day because it's optimal for muscle protein synthesis, right? But for somebody who is just trying to lose maybe 15 to 20 pounds, I don't think it really matters, to be totally honest, if you eat twice a day or you eat 5 times a day. What matters is what amount of calories are you intaking and what is your goal?
Interesting. So that makes sense. It's not a diet, it's just a style of eating. And whether or not it makes sense for you really depends on what your goals are and what your daily lifestyle needs to be. So that makes sense. That makes sense. So Magda, talk a little bit about some of the things that you talk about on some of your Instagram videos where you go into comparing how people eat. You show, well, this is 390 calories and it's a whole big plate of good, healthy food. And then this is 390 calories, which is like a really small amount of junky food. So talk a bit about that, why that's important for people to keep their eyes on, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So we all know that a calorie deficit is what you need in order to lose fat. So in order to lose fat, you need to eat less calories than what your body burns, essentially, right? And with that comes some issues if you are, quote unquote, eating less. Now, just because somebody is eating less, that doesn't mean they're eating right for their caloric deficit or for their calorie intake needs, right? And so what I try to demonstrate, and I personally love educating people. I love education. This is like my thing. And I'm trying to portray that 390 calories, like you said, can look very different, right? You can have 390 calories of a salad, chicken, and sweet potato, or you can have 390 calories of a bagel and cream cheese. Now, both have the same caloric input per se, but have very different nutrient profiles, very different. One has lots of micronutrients, lots of vitamins, minerals, fiber, and protein. The other one, being the bagel, has mainly carbs and fat with no protein. And why that's important is for satiety purposes and, of course, for muscle building synthesis, right? Muscle protein synthesis is important because you need that adequate amount of protein in order to build muscle, right? And so I try to portray that, yeah, sure, you can be quote unquote eating less, but you're probably going to be really hungry 20 to 30 minutes after eating that bagel because it didn't have the adequate amount of fiber, protein, micronutrients that that other meal had, right? And so I believe that it's very important for a lot of people to learn about eating higher volume foods. These are foods that are low calories, but have lots and lots of volume, right? You can eat lots more strawberries, right, for the same amount of calories and carbs than you can a Kit Kat bar, right? Because you'll have this much of a Kit Kat, like a tiny square of it, but you'll have maybe 150 grams of strawberries, which will keep you a lot more full and satiated. And the longer you can feel full, satiated, the better you're going to be in that fat loss phase because you're going to be less tempted and less able to give into certain cravings. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. So you also put out a lot of great videos, and I really enjoy these, where you go shopping and you show people how to shop well for food. And you go to Costco, and I visit Costco a lot to buy food, so I really appreciate it because for me, it helps me think through planning what to buy to prepare what I'm going to eat. So why don't you talk a bit about shopping and shopping mindfully and buying the right foods, and more importantly, avoiding buying the wrong foods?
Yeah, cool. So every single grocery trip always starts with a plan. I'm a planner. I love planning. If something's not planned, it's probably not going to be fitted into my schedule. Okay. That's first and foremost. So have yourself a grocery list to keep you accountable. Okay. Second thing, even before you go to the grocery store, you better not go hungry or thirsty because you're going to be way more tempted to make poor decisions and poor options that you're going to be later, kind of like lured by when you are hungry. So make sure you go to the store after a meal, after, you're well hydrated as well. Okay. When you do arrive to the grocery store, having your list handy, make sure you are, going around the perimeter of the grocery store and really ensuring that everything that you're buying has less than 2-3 ingredients, really. Like the only ingredients should be just that one food, right? So if you're buying steak, like you do, it should just be top sirloin steak, whatever it is, right? If you're buying chicken, it should just be chicken, right? And I completely understand having convenient sources of protein, having convenience foods is so important as well, right? But you don't want to make them a part of your weekly grocery shopping trip, okay? You really don't, because then you're going to rely on them. And that's not good because, again, you're not going to fuel your body. You're not going to feel your optimal when you do buy those foods that are probably higher in sodium, higher in oils, higher in carbohydrates as well, right? So I always do my videos when it's convenient, right? When I'm going grocery shopping and I show my cart, I buy a lot of chicken. I like fish, ground beef is sometimes in my rotation. I like avocados. I love all vegetables. I honestly buy as many vegetables as I can, fruits galore, nuts, seeds, everything, really. I don't remember the last time I bought like processed packaged goods really from Costco, because again, like I don't think it's worth it, to be totally honest. I don't like feeling low energy. I really don't like having, those like carb hangovers. And so I
Carb
don't.
hangovers, man. That's awesome. So what exactly is a carb hangover? Talk about that.
Like it's when, like when you've probably went out to eat one day and you've had a little bit too much to eat and it's a lot of glucose just in your body and you feel just groggy the next day and you can just tell that you've overeaten, or the foods that you did eat just weren't processing in your body properly, right? And for some, this can be carbs, this can be fats, right? Depending on like what you digest best, essentially, right? So that's what I would say is a carb hangover.
Thank you for that definition. It's a good definition. So Magda, let's say someone's listening to this. They're an entrepreneur. They're busy. They've got a life that's already pretty full, and yet they look at themselves in the mirror and they go, "I don't like how I look," because that was me last year, right? Like my gut was hanging over my jeans. You know what I mean? I did not look how I looked. I did not look how I felt. Clothes didn't fit properly anymore. Let's say it's someone like I was last year and they're listening to here and they're going, okay, this is the year. This year I want to do something about this. What would you tell them they need to keep in mind as they begin their journey?
Okay. So first, I want you to just become aware. I think awareness is key. Just become aware of your habits. Like, what do you do first thing in the morning? When do you drink your water first thing in the morning? Like, are you the type of person that wakes up and needs their coffee? Because if you're that type of person, you are relying on an external source to give you energy. And that's a big red flag. That's a big no-no. So become aware of your habits and what can you change about that? Okay. So next, I would suggest not overhauling your entire diet. I think, going cold turkey, taking everything out is fantastic, but it's not what most people can handle. So I would just go about your day and just make some switches, like if you're so used to having maybe pop, right? In not diet form, take a diet pop, right? Once a day. If you're regularly drinking Coca-Cola, regular Coca-Cola, have diet soda. Right? Instead of having 2 cups of coffee, have 1 cup of coffee. You know what I mean? And like I mentioned, try to have those single ingredient foods, at least like 3 servings of vegetables every day, right? This is also something I want you to become more aware of, is how many vegetables are you actually eating that are not fried in oil, or they're not, processed a whole lot, right? Because if the answer is 1, well, okay, I want you to do 2 servings of veggies, right? And this is sort of how my coaching works. It's very adaptive to where you are now to see how we can keep improving upon your habits and where they are at now, right? And then from there, as soon as you start making simple swaps and changes, you're probably going to see your energy level increase, your confidence increase, your performance at the gym, right? Or if you're not going to a gym, that's fine. Go for walks, go outside. I think that's a huge thing. Maybe start working out from home twice a week. Maybe do full body workouts twice a week, right? So it's hard for me to answer this question because it really does depend on who the person is, where they are at now. Like I can give a million answers, right? But the thing is that you have to just start changing your habits. That's number 1. And start recognizing where you can be improving, right? So
consistency beats intensity, right? That's what you're saying here. You got to get consistent with doing the right things. And it's better to do the right things consistently, but at a low intensity, than to once in a while do it at a high intensity, but not be consistent.
Exactly. Because again, if you completely overhaul your entire diet, cut out carbs, go for an hour jog every day, you're going to probably burn out because you're not doing it properly and appropriately, right? So if you make those small tweaks in your day-to-day life, you're going to feel that much better and that much more willing to even change future habits as well.
You know, many years ago, I was in the fitness space myself. I was a fitness coach, and I had a fellow who he was never my client, but we were friendly, and he was a real estate agent. And he said something to me that blew me away. He said to me, you know, me exercising 4 days a week lets me make an extra sale a month minimum. And back then that meant $10,000 in commission. So he said, I make $120,000 extra just because I work out 4 days a week. Because I wouldn't have the energy to go after that business otherwise. And I thought that's pretty powerful. And I'm wondering, as we wrap this interview up, what are your thoughts on exercise, eating right, taking care of your health, and its impact on your ability to be successful and make money out there in the world?
Oh my gosh, it's a foundation. It's like the base of the pyramid. If you're not fueling your body, if you're not thinking correctly, you know, you have to be that person in order to help other people, right? So if I'm not sharp and I'm not feeling my best, how am I going to help my clients, right? And that also drives me, that motivates me, right? Because people look up to me in this space, right? And I believe that in order to help other people, you have to be living it yourself, right? You have to be that person, right? And it just so happens that I love this. Like, this is just my favorite thing ever. I love eating healthy. I love educating people about it. So it just is nice for me to be able to teach this to other people and help inspire others as well. Right. But in terms of like working in like sales, like if I'm not 100% that day, it's not going to go well per se. Right. If I'm not sticking to my regular wake up and sleep schedule, then everything's off, because then maybe I won't be able to perform well in my workout. Then I'm going to feel like groggy. Then my check-ins aren't going to be good, you know, so it's just like a negative feedback loop. Right. So if you take care of yourself, you can be better off for other people per se. And you can be, for example, the best mom, you can be the best business owner if you prioritize yourself and what you need to feel your best.
Yeah, brilliantly said, brilliantly said. So Magda, we end up each episode by doing a couple things. So first of all, if someone wants to get a hold of you, get on your calendar, have a conversation about getting some help, what's the best way?
Right. So you can definitely shoot me a DM on Instagram at Magda Bañas. And then you can follow me on there. And then you can book a call with me through the link in my bio. Perfect.
Okay. So Instagram, Magda Bañas, and there's a link to book a call with you. Perfect. We're going to make sure that we put that in there in the show notes. And then we like to end off each episode by asking you, as our guest expert, what are what we call your top 3 expert action steps? These are your 3 best pieces of advice. They can be life, they can be business, they can be health, they can be a combination of the 3 that you recommend my listener take on to elevate themselves. And we want them in bullet point form. Go.
Okay. So number 1 is just do something for yourself at least 30 minutes a day. Everybody has 30 minutes a day for physical activity. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is stop drinking your calories. Please just cut out all the frappuccinos, cut out all the sodas, and you're going to feel so much better. Replace them with water, and you're going to get your energy back. You're going to feel so much better. And my 3rd tip would be to definitely find a community or some sort of accountability that you trust and you know that wants good for you. That can be definitely a person. It could be a group of ladies like Lady BF Up that will just elevate you to keep pursuing what you want to pursue. Because I think there is nothing worse than having a negative environment, because that won't be conducive to your goals. So definitely find that community for you, essentially, to keep pushing you and propelling you in the right direction.
100%. I really believe in the work that Amer does, and I believe in the work that you do. It's important. People need help in this regard. If they could have figured it out themselves, they already would have. That is the best piece of advice I can give to anyone listening. If you could have figured this out for yourself, you already would have. So go get on Magda's calendar. She's a great lady. She's awesome. She's full of energy. She's always smiling. She's always positive. She'll always take care of you. It's just the kind of human being that she is. You'll be so glad that you spent some time with her, regardless of whether you end up working with her or not. You'll just go, wow, I met a really great human being. My life is better right now just for that reason alone. So I just highly recommend that to you. And this is your year, 2024. Look after yourself, take care of yourself, and make sure that you don't let another day go by where you're living life as a lesser version of you. You deserve to live life as a best version of you. So make sure you do that. Magda, great to have you on the show. I always love speaking to you, hanging out with you, talking to you, watching your videos. They're always so much fun to watch. And it's great to be able to spend some time with you here on the show and dig deeper into some important issues. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and we'll definitely keep in touch.
We'll do this again soon. In a few months, we'll have you back. You know, just to talk about some of the more advanced things people can put into play when it comes to their nutrition and to their exercise. I think that's important. You're a fun guest. We definitely want to have you back.
Awesome. Thank you.
So listener, Magda Bañas is the real deal. Go to Instagram. Follow her and get on her calendar. Get on her calendar. More important than following her. Following her is nice. Getting on her calendar is super nice. It's like, how can I put it? Watching someone riding a bike is nice. Actually riding your own bike is super nice. You know what I mean? Watching someone eat a steak is nice. Eating your own steak is super nice. So get on a call. Book a call with her. And on top of that, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with somebody else who could benefit from this. And especially if you are a woman listening to this, or you know a woman, or you're in a relationship with a woman, send this to her. She needs to lady the F up, as Magda and company say. This is time. Magda, great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I would definitely love to come back. I am really excited.
You bet. And that wraps up another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. To find out more about today's amazing guest, the one and only Magda Bañas, go to the show notes at thethoughtleaderrevolution.com, or go to wherever you listen to this episode, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Audible, Google Play, YouTube, Rumble, etc., etc. It's all in the show notes in any of those platforms. Take advantage of the opportunity to get on a call with Magda. You'll be glad that you did. Until next time, goodbye.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.